A survey of visual artifacts in exploratory development. A narration in 5 parts. Somerville undertook this survey over a period of some years, in the course of work at the intersection of artificial intelligence, design, and software development. What follows is a record of what he found. Part 1. The Cone of Possibility, React 3 Fiber Application. Somerville had been working for some weeks on a representation of possibility. The application, built in React 3 Fiber, rendered a cone in 3-dimensional space, its apex fixed, its mouth open toward a horizon that could be adjusted by parameter. Inside the cone, clusters of nodes described what Somerville called abstract thought processes, though he acknowledged the term was inexact. The clusters did not touch one another. They were held apart by forces Somerville had encoded but could no longer fully account for. The lines radiating from the apex were not connections between ideas. They were, he said, the directions in which an idea might travel. What struck his companion was the control panel to the right of the screen. Maximum points. Minimum points. Number of stacks. Particle speed. The cone of possibility, it turned out, operated within a bounded multidimensional space. Somerville set particle speed at 0.05. Part 2. Image Generation Pipeline, Process Flowchart. An earlier diagram addressed the question of image generation directly. It took the form of a process flowchart, a genre Somerville associated with the operations manuals of medium-sized logistics firms. At the top of the diagram, a declaration: through limitless prompt writing, we will be the most derivative firm in our industry. Somerville read this several times. He was not certain whether it was a warning or a mission statement. The process was straightforward. End users, each anonymous, each equipped with a imagine command, submitted prompts to an image generation system. The outputs passed to an advisory panel, whose deliberative apparatus was represented by a speech bubble containing the words cool, not cool. Images judged cool proceeded to become design concepts. Images judged not cool were routed to a bin. The bin was large. The feedback loop returned to n+1. At the bottom of the diagram, a theorem: the probability of a cool image increases with each iteration. Somerville noted that this was true of any process with a bin in it. Part 3. Incremental Prototyping Cycle, Process Diagram. Somerville had strong feelings about prototyping. He did not always express them directly. This diagram, produced some time after the flowchart of the bin, showed a cycle of 4 operations. Establish objectives. Define functionality. Develop. Evaluate. Below each operation, an output. A plan. A definition. A prototype. A report. The outputs descended like sediment. The operations continued above them. What distinguished this diagram from its predecessors was that it did not loop. Somerville noted this with some relief. It described a sequence of 4 operations, each one dropping a document downward like a receipt. The process moved from left to right and then it ended. And there was no bin. Somerville considered this an improvement on the previous diagram. The diagram contained a typographical error. Definition. Somerville had left it uncorrected. He said that a diagram with a spelling mistake was more likely to be a working document than a finished one, and that working documents were the only kind worth keeping. Part 4. twin design strategy and a digital physical stack. Somerville had been studying a diagram of integration. It described a twin design strategy, by which physical and digital entities would be connected through continuous data exchange. The diagram showed a physical entity sending data to a management platform, which communicated with a service platform, which served a virtual entity. Arrows moved in both directions. Service requests and service responses crossed the boundary between physical and digital space like customs declarations. Somerville noted that the word seamless appeared in the accompanying text. He had been noting its appearances for some time. The second diagram addressed scale. At the left, a stack of 9 layers, descending from society through organization, business processes, services, application system, communications and data, operating system, equipment, to space. A double-headed arrow ran alongside it. At the top of the arrow, digital physical design integration. Somerville stood in front of the diagram for a long time. His companion asked what he was looking at. Somerville said he was trying to find where a building went. At the center of the slide, 2 isometric volumes connected at their midpoints, an hourglass of data, its waist the moment of interaction. To the right, the same form again, now exploded into 14 labeled layers. Humans at the top. Data at the bottom. Between them, cognition, modeling, sensing, communication, and processing. Somerville said it was the most complete picture of a building he had ever seen that contained no rooms. Part 5. Inclusive Experience Design, Freehand Storyboard. Somerville had been given a document about inclusion. It did not look like the other documents. Where the integration diagrams had organized the world into stacks and platforms, this one had been drawn by hand. Figures waited in a queue wearing sensory attenuation devices. A person with tinted glasses and headphones looked out from the center of the page into a softer, more subdued world. Someone lay on the floor of a space with minimal stimuli. At the bottom left, a large sketch in color, a concert hall or festival space, vivid, loud, full of people. An arrow led from it to a smaller figure, head back, mouth open, a speech bubble containing the words "too much." Around the figure's head, colored circles, not decorative, Somerville thought, but diagnostic. The diagram proposed 9 interventions: a quiet room, a live stream, personal spacing between seats, scheduled breaks and respite, active wayfinding, sensory attenuation devices, an observation booth, an inclusion enabler, and an environment controlled by electroencephalography. Somerville read the list again. 8 of the 9 could be built tomorrow. The 9th required a different kind of future. The diagram did not distinguish between them. At the bottom right, for colored labels, space. Tech program. Policy. His companion said it looked like a legend without a map. Somerville said perhaps the drawing was the map. Coda. Somerville filed the diagrams in a folder he labeled Thinking in Process. He was aware this was a tautology. All thinking is in process. No diagram is finished. Every system that has been built is already, in some respect, the legacy system of the system that will replace it. He returned to the cone. The clusters had not moved. The apex was still fixed. The mouth was still open. The maximum number of points was still 147. He adjusted the particle speed slider. The clusters stirred. New paths appeared between nodes that had previously seemed unconnected. Somerville watched for a while, then closed the application. The folder remained.